Hi, my name is Josh Stein. I am a lawyer out of Houston, Texas, licensed in Texas and New Mexico, and I'm here to talk about oil and gas, mineral title, and title examination. This CLE is mostly going to be based on Texas law. I'll talk a little bit about some other states, but it's mostly going to be Texas. Because in terms of mineral title, a lot of the states where oil and gas production is prominent tend to follow what Texas does. Our law here is fairly well developed in mineral title, and we're a big state, so we have lots of disputes. Anyway, the CLE is called Mineral Title. How bad can it be? And if you look at slide number 2 of your slideshow, that is the answer. That's a picture of a deed book in, I believe it's in Stevens County. They had a bunch of deed books in the attic. Termites ate it, and they went through the trouble of photocopying, well, not photocopying, but laminating the eaten pages so that you can flip through it and read a couple fragments of sentences from what remains. If you're ever out in that county, you can look in the courthouse. It's still up in the attic. They haven't moved it. And all of the books are like that. These aren't the deed records specifically, but they're old cases, old court records, things like that. And a lot of counties have this problem, believe it or not. The deed records fall apart, and there's no copy. The courthouse burns down, so they just say, well, everything before the courthouse burnt down is gone. Good luck. And that is, unfortunately, the state of mineral title in some places, and you just have to go with what you got. Anyway, so the stuff I'm going to be talking about in this CLE, there's a couple of brief topics, title examination basics, some advice on locating absentee mineral owners, a little bit about property descriptions, a little bit about old overriding royalty interests on old leases, and some stuff about intestacy. And after that, I'm going to get into the more interesting topics, interesting to me at least. The Duhigg rule, fixed versus floating royalties, implied reservations, canons of construction, and land described versus estate conveyed. And the objective here is to provide you with some cases and some basics for problems which frequently crop up in oil and gas cases and which cause royalties to be paid to the wrong people or to be paid in the wrong amounts. Which is surprisingly common. You know, it always kind of blows my mind that when an oil company gets a well and they send out division orders, the division order has a decimal on it, and you sign it, and then you get paid whatever that decimal is out of production, and nobody checks to make sure that decimal is right. You know, if you go into a grocery store and you buy a stick of gum, a lot of people will look at their change to make sure they got 2 quarters and a nickel as opposed to 2 nickels and a dime, and they'll make a stink about it if they got paid wrong. But when it comes to oil and gas, it's just too hard, and millions of dollars change hands, and everybody assumes that big oil companies will get it right. And believe it or not, big oil companies rely on little people like me and like other lawyers who have my job. And we are not perfect. Anyway, so title examination basics. If you've ever written a title opinion, you've probably gone into a courthouse and seen all the old deeds and thought, this is going to be terrible. And it's going to take a long time because the grantor-grantee indexes are a pain. In states where they thought ahead, they have tract indexes, so you have an index for Section 1, Block 5, and all of the deeds covering that property are listed in that index, so it's very, very easy. In other states where they weren't thinking about the future, you have a grantor-grantee index where you have to flip through the names of the parties, and it becomes very difficult and very cumbersome. Some of those grantor-grantee indexes will have property descriptions in the index. Those are not necessarily reliable. They're written by the county clerks. They use shorthand. They don't list everything, and sometimes they don't list anything at all. So if you're looking through the grantor-grantee index to try to figure out who owns the property, how it was conveyed over time, you'll often run into problems like a guy named Smith bought the property, and there's 50 Smiths in that county, and you have to look through 100 irrelevant deeds before you find the one you're looking for. Or worse yet, First Financial Bank acquired the property, and then there's 1,000 deeds you have to look for before you can find the right one. And it takes a lot of time, and when you're looking through the grantor-grantee index, it's very, very easy to miss the one deed that is correct, and then you got to keep searching, and it's just it's a terrible use of time. It's very cumbersome, and it's very difficult.